And I just want to be honest about that. I do have my sad days, my bad days. I have a fair share of everything that you have, because our professions are maybe different, but the life of a human is somewhere almost same. Like, we have troubles, maybe in our love life, our economic life, or with family, with friends. You will always have issue. Every person has issue. I don't like to keep it here in front of you, because I made it clear since day one that I'm here to give you comedy content. And that is only one thing I'm gonna do.
This is episode number 110 of The Inspiring Talk with YouTuber Niharika Singh. Welcome back inside yet another episode of The Inspiring Talk. My name is Bijay Gautam. I'm your host for this show. Each week, I interview today's most successful and inspiring personalities to help you realize your inner potential. I'm excited to have Niharika Singh on the show today. Niharika runs a comedy YouTube channel by the name Captain Nick. She enjoys a fan following of over 2 million across the platforms. Niharika studied journalism and wanted to become a radio jockey. She couldn't find a job. She was interning with a FM station back in 2016. She then made some funny lip sync videos on the app called Dubsmash just for fun. Her friends found those videos very funny and suggested that she starts a YouTube channel. She wanted to go ahead and give this a shot and started a YouTube channel called Captain Nick. She's today one of the most popular creators of the country. She has recently delivered a TEDx talk. Now, becoming an internet star sometimes can be hard. You have to deal with a lot of hate and criticism from the people you have never met. This can take a toll on your mental health and your self-worth. Also, you have a lot of pressure to stay relevant and become better and keep your audience hooked. In this episode, we discuss how to deal with critics, why everything you see on the internet is not true, and also you get to hear some dark sides of becoming a creator. I really enjoyed this conversation and hope you will too. Let's get started. Welcome back inside this episode of The Inspiring Talk, and I'm super excited to be joined by Niharika Singh, aka Captain Nick. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Vijay. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, Niharika, I want to jump straight into this. And on one of the interviews that you recently had, you said, you can't make everyone happy. And this is not just a quote, it's actually a mantra to a peaceful life. What do you mean?
I mean, I learned it the hard way. I said it in my talk also, because initially I used to feel like, I don't know why people are hating, because I'm here to give you smiles.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only intention I have, to have your attention, but to make you smile. I intentionally don't pick any political stuff. I don't talk about anything that's gonna end up in creating controversy. So why this hate and why this whatever, like, people call it? There are several names for it. And then I realized it's just like they want to do it. No matter how much you try to, impress all types of people who are on social media, a particular type will always be left behind, complaining and not being happy with your work and telling you to do something different, which is not necessarily in your comfort zone. So I accepted that mantra, started practicing it. And then now I can finally say that I really don't give a damn about these negative comments and the hate speech or whatever these things are.
And, for me personally, what has really helped and the realization that when somebody put that, hate out there on the internet, and because it's easy for you to, sit behind the keyboard and, where you just don't have to put the face. In fact, that's, this is something that I learned from one of the guests, where it's not about you. When somebody put that hate out, it's not about you, right? The person who put the hate out is the one who is hurt themselves. And you can't pour love when you are filled with hate, right? And you can't pour kindness, when you yourself don't have it. And I think that realization kind of changed my perspective
So one of my mentors, like initially, he was the one who told like these people are so emotionally troubled that they don't even realize that these kind of words, foul languages will end up hurting somebody else because they don't know me personally. There are so many comments, Vijay, when I go and I see the profile because I just want to know. I'm so curious that why this person is spitting this kind of venom for me. Does he know me? Have I done something to him? What is it about? They don't know you. They are not following you also in the first place. They are just there to abuse you. For what? Who is the disturbed one here? Who should be worried? It's not me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like I just delete the comment and possibly block that person so that he doesn't do it, he, she, whatever, doesn't do post these kind of comments for me ever again. But these are the only things in my hand. I mean, how I protect my peace is by doing this.
Yeah, and also the other thing, and obviously, no matter how much we say these do not affect me or I don't
Yes.
let them affect me in any way, but to some extent, right? Somebody might stay with that for hours, or maybe for some people it might be days. Like, oh my god, somebody told me this, and am I
Right.
really this or that? But to some extent, it does affect everyone, right? If somebody says that it don't really affect me, I just don't think it works that way. And if somebody has reached that level, then there's a lot of work that goes into before somebody reaches that stage, right? So I'm sure that happens to you as well when there is a lot of that hate or a lot of the comments. And do you feel that, oh, you know what, am I worth it? Do you have those self doubts the moment, or maybe have you been through that? Obviously you have. Then what has really helped you to maybe kind of overcome those? And the people who are listening not necessarily are the
Mm.
YouTubers or the content creators who are putting a lot of content out there and looking for hate, but that they can say that, oh, you know what, because the amount that comes to the way of somebody who is online, somebody who
Right.
is a creator putting stuff out in the online, the amount is a lot, right? Other than
Right.
even for the regular person, normal person, there's a lot that comes from friends and family or the people
Right.
that you don't even know or a stranger and stuff like that. So what has really helped you, maybe that can kind of people
Yeah.
implement or maybe use in their life? Yeah.
I mean, with work, I have really stopped worrying about if someone is calling me, oh, you are a bad creator, you create bad videos, you're
Mm-hmm.
not funny. I've really put myself into that place where these kind of comments doesn't affect me. And I really believe me when I say this. I'll tell you what kind of comments haunt me. When certain profiles, I mean, they write bad stuff for everyone. It's not only about girls or boys. They write bad stuff, foul languages, abusive words for everybody. But when certain profile describes certain sexual acts, what they want to do to you in the worst possible language,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that brings such kind of rage inside me. I mean, it's only like, you are emotionally so disturbed at that point that you would even end up killing that person agar wo samne hota to. Because
Mm-hmm.
the rape threats, like I told you, they describe what they want to do with you in the worst possible language you can imagine, Vijay. So these things
Mm-hmm.
to, read online from a stranger's account and hundred of other people are going to read this. Imagine what are you going to feel about this?
Yeah.
And this mainly happens with female creators, female accounts only. I'm not saying boys are not trolled online, but when they do it to girl, they take it to such a high level that they don't really think about it. Nothing. So these kind of things really bother me a lot. And I'm sorry, but I think I can never, learn to tolerate this because there is no way this should be tolerated in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this takes a lot of toll on your own mental health
Yes.
and peace, right? And because you are so disturbed with that event, and while the person just doesn't know you, and the person might be hurt, and all you can do is just show the empathy and kindness for the hate comment. But something like this, and sometimes for creators, because also at the same time you have to wear a certain mask and before you present, and we'll talk about that later about
Hmm.
vulnerability and authenticity. But because also you have to wear this mask because your audience have certain expectation out of you, and sometimes it can get lonely, isn't it, where you
Absolutely.
just can't go and talk to it anyone. Then who do you go out and share this? What helps you to kind of come out of this? What is it that you do as a practice? If there's anything?
Yeah, it's only family and very few close friends who now know that, okay, your profession is glamorous and, all about fame and everything. But it's also one of the most disturbing profession because you are being judged here for every single thing, for your looks, for the way you speak, for your viewpoints, for your political opinions, for everything. So people are going to bash you. Doesn't matter if you have some opinion to give or you don't have any opinion to give at all. You are constantly under their magnifying glass. They're going to judge you. And it's okay. I'm not complaining. Yes, I decided to be a content creator. So this is the kind of replies we get also in return when we say, it's like, why you guys
Mm-hmm.
are being so mean to us? It's like, you decided to be a public figure, right? So you got to deal with this. I was like, yeah, okay. So it's always
Mm-hmm.
family, it's always friends to whom you can just
Mm-hmm.
go and talk to. And then they really, bring the calmness that, it's okay. You have been there before. It happens. Then they give us several examples where, which help us to just come out of that whole situation. And once you have, been through this experience, you will always come out like even strong out of it. God forbid if this happens next time, which always does end up happening. So it's always friends and family, and then you just take few days off social media,
Mm-hmm.
you go somewhere, take a mini vacation, staycation, whatever, and then come back. Because it's your job at the end of the day. Like you can't take chutti from your office forever, right? If you don't like the job, or
Mm-hmm.
something is disturbing you. So it's the same thing for creators like us also, I guess. Like we just take a break, we try to, clear our head, get some fresh air, and just work on our peace. We build our Jenga again.
Yeah. And I think you kind of keep on building walls. And I know that it takes a lot of effort and courage and a lot of time for anybody to say that, oh, you know what, things just don't really affect me. Someone else's opinion, whether you are a creator or not, that's a totally different story, right? For somebody to say that, oh, you know what, your opinions just don't matter to me anymore, and building that kind of screen and building that kind of filter definitely do take a lot of time and courage. And I have been through the same journey of people saying all sort of things, right? All sort of things, unwanted suggestions, do this and do that, and why don't you fix this, why don't you fix that, why don't you try this and try that, and all sort of suggestions. And also, this is something that I'm thinking a lot about lately, which is embracing the flaws that we have and saying that, well, you know what, this is me. Okay. And I think to some extent, we have known each other for almost 1.5 years now and been closely observing the kind of things that you do and also talk about on the social media. One thing that I've realized is, you know what, you're like, this is me and I completely own it. And that is so liberating that the moment you say that, you know what, I accept who I am, then I think the acceptance of someone else is also very high, because then you are not looking for perfection in someone else as well. Then you are like, you know what, I accept the person as it is, right? So, but I'm sure there is a lot of, because you have to create a lot and because you have to stay relevant, and you started in 2016 from just having that first 3,000 followers, and then one video happened where you went on to kind of become popular, and then now to almost at 2 million today. And what worked in 2016 or even let's say early this year may not work later. So how do you stay relevant, and how do you deal with that pressure to stay relevant, and and just entertaining the audience in your case?
Obviously, there are creative blocks. There are times when there is nothing in your head and you feel like, oh my God, like what? Am I out of ideas now? How this channel is going to run? But I, as a person, I don't have to worry about this because when I decided to, come up with a channel where I'll put all my ideas in form of videos, my first video itself was a generation of, it was like a whole production of my idea, what was happening inside my brain, and I just had to execute it. So I did not go to any second person or third person to get the ideas and, to ask for help. It's like, listen, I'm thinking on this topic. So will you like help me to generate something here with me? It was all me. So I kind of had that confidence in me that maybe I'm not never going to go out of
Mm-hmm.
idea like completely. Like there's going to be a blank, an end. at some point of time. So I'm not like overconfident about this, but I'm just confident that with life, with meeting so many people, with so many new things happening in your life, you will always come up with one or the
Mm-hmm.
other content. Like initially, when I was only 25, I guess I used to make a lot of content around youngsters, like college going people, because I just came out of college at that point of time, and about internship. Then I attended few weddings of people who are very closely related to me. So I saw a lot of weddings personally, and that was my new experience. Uske pehle, I have never experienced a wedding so closely. So I did so many videos on weddings. Like people literally, like at one
Mm-hmm.
point, they were like, "Please stop
Mm-hmm.
making wedding videos now. We are
Mm-hmm.
kind of done." I was like, "Okay," because
Yeah.
see, new experiences give you a lot more content. Now, when I'm like almost about to be 30, I'm experiencing new things in my life. I mean, it's always fun to make content about them because at every point, this age group is going to feel relevant to me. And it's like I have lived school life, I have lived college life. So I can always show the comparison. So if you have a creative mind, I don't think you're completely going to be, shut out of the ideas.
Niharika, now, you have come a long, long way from, 2016 to right from creator. And I have been through the same journey, obviously not on YouTube, but on the podcasting. I started in 2017. And when I look back at my own journey, and there's so much that I have learned, and there is a lot that, I continue to learn every single day as a creator, as a person who's having conversation with people on the podcast, and as a podcaster. And I'm sure, you have learned a ton. And if you have to look back at the Niharika 2016, thinking of starting a YouTube channel, and if there's someone who is just, thinking of, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel, or maybe, start sharing content online, then what would be some of the tips that you want to give to somebody who's just looking at getting started to putting themselves out?
One thing I always say to all the questions when I get, which are of similar type, I say, please be original. If you're original, nobody can take away that from you. If you're getting inspired by someone and then starting to make similar kind of content, I mean, that is only going to provide you content till a minimum amount of time. Like, but then who are you? What is your channel about? It should be an extension to your personality. So it's very important to, showcase you, whatever talent you have. That could be
Mm-hmm.
anything. If you're sarcastic, if you are good with mimicry, if you're good with anything, just try to put that first. And rest, everything could be termed as, your trial things. Like you're trying this video out. It's always good to try things out. And like you don't know what will work for you. But to keep that
Mm-hmm.
original X factor that only you and you have should be like the highlight of your channel. So I always say that, and because that is one point which I used. I mean, I was not good with talking, like, because when I started, all these content creators were about, they used to stand and talk about certain, there's like 5 types of people here, and then they used to talk about it. I was not good with talking. I tried that. I was good with imitating
Mm-hmm.
people. So I started doing skits and sketches.
Mm-hmm.
Day one, I've been doing that. So I used my, stronger points as my USP, and that is what people loved.
That's great. The other thing that I want to ask you, Niharika, is because as we call, right, the influencers, the people, who just follow the content creators, and there are young girls looking up to these, content creators who are creating all sort of content, and they think that what they see online, or they think what they see on Instagram or on the YouTube, and these travel, let's say, influencers. I mean, I do have a problem with that word, but anyways, I mean, that's a different conversation altogether. But the content creators in general, right? So things that, oh, you know what, these are the people who are living the best of the life, and then, not usually putting the real face out there. Now, as a content creator, do you think that it would be a much better world when people understand that, what you see on the screen is not always the real thing, right? For example, in your case, Niharika is not always happy, cracking jokes and laughing and jumping and, being happy all the time, right? And you do go through your own emotions and, on a roller coaster of the emotion, and you do have your own insecurities that, a lot of other people do have, right? What would you like to add on to that?
I mean, with our Insta lives, everyone, they keep asking, it's like, how are you happy all the time? How are you so cheerful, so full of energy? I completely be honest with myself. It's like, this is the time when I choose to Instagram. Like with my sad face, with my crying, with my depression and everything, I don't Instagram. So I don't let you see my that other side. But I do have that side. And I just
Mhm.
want to be honest about that. I do have my sad days, my bad days. I have a fair share of everything that you have, because our professions are maybe different, but the life of a human is somewhere almost same. Like, we have troubles, maybe in our love life, our economic life, or with family, with friends. You will always have issues. Every person has
Mhm.
issues. So we have
Mhm.
our own fair share of issues. It's just like, I don't like to keep it here in front of you, because I made it clear since day one that I'm here to give you comedy content. And that is only one thing I'm gonna do. Now, if you're
Mhm.
asking me
Mhm.
about my personal life, so I'm not a vlogger, I'm not an influencer. I don't want to, open my personal life for you to peep into it. So I think it's a little unpolite for you to ask me also that about my personal life. Arey, whom are you dating? What's happening in your life? This and that. Well, like, I mean, if you think that life is so happening and
Mhm.
cheerful for other people all the time, I'm like, it's fake. And I'm not even selling it that I'm
Mhm.
happy all the time. I'm being honest about it that I'm not happy all the time. It's
Yeah.
like all these products that you see, fancy products that we guys are using right now. I did not use these products back in 2016. I earned for 5 years. And now when I can own it, I'm using it. You just have to wait,
Mhm.
earn, and then own it. It's simple. Nobody has given me that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, every single time you hit that publish icon on the YouTube, what goes on your mind?
It's always about the numbers. I mean, I still have that same feeling what I had when I was uploading my first video, how this video is going to perform. Are people going to like it? A lot of times I have this, intuition about some video that, oh my God, this video is kick ass. It's going to blow mind of people. Such a new topic. But that video somehow tanks. And then there are these topics where I feel like, okay, they're just moderately okay. I'm not like having huge hopes from them. And they cross millions and millions of views, and somehow they become very popular. So it's kind of dicey. You cannot predict what people like out there, but it's always like, exciting, because you cannot predict what people will like out there. So you just have
Mhm.
to, I mean, only by pressing that publish button, you'll come to know after a day, a few days later, when you see your algorithm, your analytics, and how people are, reacting to it. So it's always like exciting, and it's like it puts you into this whole nervous mood where you don't know what's going to happen. It's just like a big director releasing his movie hit hogi, flop hogi. It's with us creators, it's the same. You don't know which video will perform good.
Is this kind of a pressure that comes from the fact that because you have such a huge number of people who are following you, and the fear of like disappointing the audience, and
Yes,
I think that can always come in, and also you want to stay relevant,
yes.
right?
Like, I have a niche who love me for all the women topics. They love this mother character that I play. Like, I started this channel because I want to keep putting new things, like the creative things, like something that I can try, which is
Mhm.
new for me, exciting for me as well. So it's always like, okay, I'm like a new daughter-in-law who's cooking something very delicious, and then she doesn't know if her in-laws are going to like it or not. So it's always like this
Mhm.
testing time. It's like, oh guys, I've made something very super cool for you guys. How are you liking it? So then they let you know. It's like, yeah, okay, but you do that kind of video better. So it's a like
Mhm.
nice way of getting feedback also. But yeah, the fear is real of getting
Mhm.
judged and all these things. But this is only with the kind of topic you're going to put, not about the way you look and the way you have tried to portray certain things in your video. It's just about the topic, how people are going to react to certain topics. It's about that for me.
So the other thing that I want to talk about is, creating responsibly, right? While there are, the bigger the audience size that you have, the bigger the responsibility that you have, and what you want to put out and what you don't put out, because that can really send a negative message to the people. And especially, like, for example, on the podcast itself, right? I'm very mindful of what kind of things that we really put out, because when people are listening in, or maybe consuming your content, they're really leaning forward and they trust you, right? And
Right.
they kind of feel that this person wants the best of us. Now, do you feel the same kind of responsibility as a content creator for the people like who are following, and then you just be mindful of what you really put and what you
No,
say,
no.
even if it's in the comedy? Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's all about, being responsible with the kind of words that you choose, with the terms. I mean, a lot of times it was unintentional, the kind of words we have used, but then the people in the comment section, they let us know that they are not
Mm-hmm.
liking it and how you are being so irresponsible, whereas it's not even intentional. Like you didn't mean to use those kind of thing in the first place, but they let you
Mm-hmm.
know. So
Mm-hmm.
after certain instances, like we started keeping things in mind. Like there are certain topics which are sort of taboo. You don't touch them. You don't create anything about them.
Mm-hmm.
Be it like religious topic, and then a far more taboo is the political topic. Like you don't talk about politics. You don't mix politics
Mm-hmm.
with comedy, or people get hurt so badly. So yeah, these are the certain topics. But theek hai, ye to, I mean, these are like where people simply get offended on anything you put. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there are type of people who will like they're just there to feel offended. They're like so vulnerable. They are so like weak, and God knows what they are. They'll feel bad about everything, but it's okay. These are not
Mm-hmm.
the people we are talking about here. We're just talking about there are certain things which, like, clearly you should not, just. It's basically about considering that what are you putting out,
Mm-hmm.
like what kind of audience you are catering for yourself. Do you just want to be famous just like that by speaking anything, or you just want to be a responsible creator who wants to have a good audience, who thinks good about you also in the end?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I as a person, as a creator, I do that, and obviously it was a learning process. I'm still under that process where I'm learning every day that what kind of things I have to do and what are the things I can't do, because it's sort of unacceptable on their end.
Niharika, your dad is a businessman
Yeah,
and your mom is a teacher.
yeah.
And here is a daughter who has done masters in journalism, says that I want to do YouTube, where she doesn't even know if she's ever going to make any money out of it or if she's going to make anything out of it. And here she is saying that, oh, this seems like a cool thing, that I can probably try and do. And, a couple of my friends said that they find me funny. And then here I am saying that, everybody's probably is going to find me funny and let me do this and let me try and make this, make a career out of it.
Right.
What was that conversation like? If you recall, what was that conversation like?
It was mad. Like I'm like the queen of making bad decisions at my home. So I started with selecting commerce to become a CA, which was like the first battle of my life because my parents really wanted me to study science, but then they settled with commerce because I told them I'll become a CA. And then when it was
Mm-hmm.
time for me to take CA, I was like, you know what, I don't want to study CA. Rather, I want to do journalism. They was like, what is this new booth you have on your head? I was like, please. Then it's like, theek hai, go ahead, do journalism. I did journalism and only to realize that I don't want to be a journalist, because what
Mm-hmm.
we were taught in college versus what was like happening in reality were so contrasting. So now I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, what to do? So I went and I joined a radio station. I did my internship there, and I really, really was looking forward to become an RJ. I literally had a knack of it. I was kind of good also. My mentors used to tell me, like, you know what, you have a good voice. You can talk. You can make a good career here if you become an RJ. But there were no vacancies there. And then I was not someone who was being very patient about it. I was not ready to travel to other cities. So this was my struggling period, like this one whole year where I was really not able to figure out, is like, what the hell I want to do. I have master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even like, that I'm not getting a job. It's just that I don't want to get a job in that field now. It was a different kind
Mm-hmm.
of struggle which I've created for myself. So I did a couple
Mm-hmm.
of the theater workshops just to, learn more about, because I was so camera conscious. I used to feel like, I can't face camera. Like I have these talents where I really want to act, but I don't have the courage to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And this usual casual talking with my friends, because I had joined this Kathak classes as a hobby class, just because I really wanted to divert my mind from all the chaos that was going inside it. So my friends started finding me funny when I used to, share all these my college, school stories with them, and then they are the like typical millennials. 2-3 साल छोटे ही हैं मुझसे, but they were more on social media than me.
Mm-hmm.
So they told me, it's like, why don't you have your own YouTube channel, dude? You are funny as f. I said, I don't know YouTube, like how does it function? I started doing my research on it. I took the first person whom I go about all these, like crazy ideas of mine is my brother. He is the one who can talk to my parents. I can't because I really don't know how to propose the idea. I'll be like, I want to do this. They'll be like, no, you can't do this. And then there's a fight. There's an argument. But Bhai knows how to, keep the topic in front of them and to, like tell them all the positive sides of it, all these things. So he's a good talker, smooth one, a good presenter. So he did that to me. And then my parents were like, okay, theek hai. But I did not tell them about YouTube. I quietly did it because I knew that it's very difficult to explain this whole thing because there's no office, there's no boss, there's nothing. It's like a internet thing. You have to make videos and just upload it. There's no guarantee. पैसे आएंगे कब आएंगे किसके account में जाएंगे. You have no idea about these things. And when you have invested so much in an education where people are literally all about study good, get a good job, earn. This is our life, right? The middle Indian class thinking. But here I am about to change that whole thing for me. It was like a very dangerous thing at this point of time. So I did not tell them. I just made my first video with help of my friends. My brother knew it. I told him. And I just told him to believe in me and keep his mouth shut till I don't do something good about this YouTube thing. So I showed my first video to my parents and my mother thought this is some college project because I was doing journalism, like media thing. So we used to make all sorts of, short movies and documentaries. So it's like, yeah, this is cool. This is fun. Nice. I was like, thank you. But they kept on making video. Then there was like after a couple of months my brother was not here. He was in USA. So we all were on Skype. And then that was the time when I told them, it's like, guys, this is kind of profession. And they all says like, Baba, you do it. It's not like we are against. We have never stopped you from, pursuing whatever the hell you want to. But this doesn't sound promising. You have a degree, for God's sake, you use that. You do this on weekends like your hobby or something. We are not asking you to like quit it. But do something that is going to give you, some sense of freedom, independence and all that. I was like, give me 1 year. I'm not a great multitasker. I can't do job and YouTube at the same time. Just give me 1 year. If I don't do something useful with myself on this platform, I'll quit 101%. So that was
what, when you are sharing that, it feels like that's a bit of my story as well, because I was doing my own job and I wanted to start a podcast, and at the same time I was preparing for the US for my masters, and every time I would sit down and go through the GRE, which is the exam that you need to clear before you can get to the US colleges. And when I would sit down for that preparation, and my head, on the back of my head, what I would think is, hey, you know what? I already hate the job that I do. And if I even go for my master's, then that's another 2 years of studying something that I hate.
That you hate.
And that also means, because I have already wasted 7 years of my life
in
learning and training myself to do something. And then that's going to decide another 70 and I'm never going to be happy. And then when I went to my parents and said that, hey, guys, you know what? I think I'm going to give this podcasting thing a shot. I don't think I want to go to the US anymore and, for my higher studies. And then me and my dad, we ended up not, talking to each other for almost a couple of weeks. And I had the same exact conversations. I told them, obviously, I wish it was is a normal, soft conversation, the one that you would like to have. But I told them that, hey, you know what? All I'm asking is just 1 year of my life. If I can make something out of this, it's good. If not, then I'm going to leave the rest of my life in the terms that you guys have. And, they allowed that. I mean, they did not say yes, but they did not. They just kept quiet. And I think a lot of times parents just not saying anything. Even if you can't encourage, then just keep your mouth shut. Don't just pull your kids' leg saying that, just don't do this.
A lot of people are going to judge this also when we talk about responsibilities. See, we can't even say this because they'll come backfiring. How are you talking this about parents? Your parents raised you and all now. But the thing that we are trying to tell you here is a child is capable of doing a lot more things than you have planned for him, her.
Yeah.
So why can't you just let, I mean, already so many years have gone into, studying something. I don't know if the child wants to study or not, but it's never a harm to let the child have 1 year or 2 year for himself, herself, to decide what they want to do, to explore
Yeah.
at least. Because eventually they'll understand that, whether they can do it or not. And it's all about building
Yeah.
that confidence in yourself. I mean, it's so empowering. I mean, I can't even tell you. Like, you have made this thing on your own. This is your child, your podcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Captain Nick is like my baby. Like, I made it
Mm-hmm.
from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I
Absolutely.
don't have like 5 million, 6 million subscribers. I'm only about to reach 2. But I know all the hard work that I've put into that too. It's me. I created
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
It's my
Mm-hmm.
identity. And now, obviously, I'm sure even your parents are super proud of you, because mine definitely are. I mean, they were a shock, say, they flaunt it outside. It's like, oh, Captain, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's a daughter and all. Yeah. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I like
So yeah.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I look back at my kind of a thing, when I started, one of the things that kind of, got me going, because for the first 6 months of me, starting this podcast, there were
Hmm,
barely 20, 30 people listening to the podcast. For the 6 months, you have already put the 6 months of work, and there are barely anybody who's listening, and, not so many people even knew about the podcast. But the one thing, that kind of kept me going was the fact that on every conversation that I was having with every person that I was bringing on my podcast, I was learning a lot. I
right,
was, getting better as a person, because I would get this different perspective altogether, right? Where I also got to know that, hey, you know what? There is not one success template. There are
hmm.
so many
So
success
many.
templates, and
Right,
every single person who comes to my show has got a different template, and I can like create my own, right? And because of that, and if somebody is benefiting from the conversation that I have here, then that's amazing, because then people also do have the same kind of questions that I'm asking to my guest, right?
right.
And that is something, even today I get to learn so much, and that's something that's, in a way, I often say that it's a bit of a shellfish kind of a project, where
Hmm,
I get to learn a lot and ask
right,
all the stupid dumb questions that I want to ask to people. And the people who listen to this find those questions interesting, because those are the questions that people also have, and that is something that really gets me going, right?
right.
So what is it that gets you going? What is it that kind of makes you want to record a video after video after video? And how important is it to have that?
So it's been 5 years, and I think it's safe for me to say that this whole process, like I tell you now, it's my idea. I think of something, then I write it down, then I shoot it. Initially, I used to edit
Mhm.
my own videos. From, I guess, 1.5 years, I have a team of a videographer and editor who do my work for me. But this whole thing, I mean, I can so proudly say, okay, listen, this is my video, this is my idea, like the original
Mhm.
one. Because I have
Mhm.
this tendency of checking the topics, whether other creators have, worked on something similar or even on the same topic or not. So I really
Mhm.
feel proud about my this tiny brain who was not able to understand maths at some point of time in school. But now in this competition of creating content and everything, I'm coming up with new ideas. Yes, I'm not
Mhm.
getting that kind of recognition, but whatever the little that I have, it's not little for me. It's really in huge amount. Every single comment that says, you know what, Naharika, you uplift me, you change my mood.
Mhm.
I've come from a
Mhm.
really bad day. I had a bad day at
Mhm.
office. I was just crying. I had a breakup. I had something
Mhm.
going on with my mother, but watching your video, it made my mood go light. I mean,
Mhm.
that's my brownie point. I take that as
Mhm.
compliment, as like, yes, this is it.
Yeah.
This is like, that gives me such amount of happiness, and that lifts my mood, and that motivates
Mhm.
me, that keeps me going. These
Mhm.
comments, these edits, the sketches that people make for you, I mean, it's beyond your understanding. How can someone love you so much? I'm
Yeah.
not doing anything for that one particular person. It's like, you know what? Let's
Mhm.
make a video for Rashmi, maybe because she had a bad day in office. No, I'm just putting my work out there because I love creating videos. It comes very naturally to me to act like some different person, kisi aur ki nakal karna and all. But for them, it's just like 8 minutes of pure, just watching the video and not thinking about anything else that is not great in their life at this point of time. So that thing is very like it adds value to my work.
I think you have made a very important point while you were sharing this, Niharika, which is a lot of people think that the work I might put out there might not impact people's life. And if it's just that one Rashmi who is
Mm-hmm.
probably getting impacted from
Yeah,
your work, I think that's well worth the effort that you put on creating anything. And I think that's where the fact that and this is something that I have shared several times in the past on this podcast as well, in which I would like to again kind of repeat, is the fact that the gifts that you have is not your property. That's
right,
your responsibility. It's your responsibility to share your gifts with the world, right?
right,
You are obliged to put that gift out in the world so that other people can experience that, so that other people can, maybe you might just change someone's life, or you might just give someone hope. Maybe you just can help someone get out of their
right,
darkest phase in the life, right? So the work that you put, you just don't know what might come out of the work or the piece of art or whatever that is you put out. So I think that's a great message. So now for the people who are looking at doing something in their life, on the edge of doing something, right? Maybe
hmm,
starting something, starting a blog, or maybe starting a YouTube, or maybe doing a podcast, or maybe taking photography, or taking trying to create their
right.
own success template. If you have to summarize everything that you have learned in your life or from your own journey, and put it in 3 lessons that you have learned, what would be those 3?
The first thing is never ever ignore your gut. If there's
Mm-hmm.
something that your body, your mind, your soul, everything is saying at the same time, just go ahead and do it. Either
Mm-hmm.
you'll succeed at it, and if it's a failure, don't consider it as a failure. It's just your experience. You have just learned something that this was not for you. Now it's time to do something else. You shouldn't be bummed about it. It's like, oh, I failed at it or I suck. No, this was just not for you. I mean, not every cloth is meant for you, right? You just need to find the perfect cloth for you. But if your gut is telling you, please go ahead and try that one. What if it looks great on you? Please go ahead and just try it. It will take few time of your life, but I'm sure it will give you like this one great answer that you can get only by trying it. Either you are successful
Mm-hmm.
or you understand that that thing is not for you. So now it's time to move
Mm-hmm.
on and do something else. So never ignore your gut. That is one thing. Second is everything that you do in life comes with responsibility. And the moment you
Mm-hmm.
start taking it for granted is when you
Mm-hmm.
really start losing that, that power that you have over yourself. To become
Mm-hmm.
more powerful, more, stronger than you require is also going to break a lot of things that is around you. So it's always
Mm-hmm.
important to keep everything in balance. Like with people like us also, there are so many times when people say, like, oh, you're so grounded and all after all these years of working hard and people recognize you as someone. I was like, yeah, that's great. But then maybe after 5 years, that's not going to be. I
Mm-hmm.
might not have this. So it's very important
Yeah.
to feel grateful about it and still be grounded. Like you don't
Yeah.
go over the top and start considering yourself like Katrina Kaif or someone who's like, oh, now I
No, in
don't
fact,
need.
yeah,
Yeah. So always,
absolutely. In fact, the episode that we did just before, your episode, the
yeah,
one that we released, and I asked the same question to my guest, like, what is the practice that really makes you grateful? And he made this like really powerful, exercise where, on the grander scheme of thing, you and I don't even exist.
yeah,
Right. So
exactly.
it's definitely not important at all for you to think that, oh, you know what, I'm so important on the grander scheme things. Like if you zoom out and from grander scheme of things, I mean, you and I just don't even matter. So yep, go ahead, go on.
So creating a big bubble for yourself is like, oh no, what? I'm a superstar. No, dude, you are
Mhm.
like in comparison to a lot of things, you don't exist. That is so true. Now, third is taking things for granted, which is like a sub point for the third one only. But like we say, this podcast is your thing. This whole Captain Nick is my thing.
Mhm.
So I can't take it for granted and just put anything that I want. I have like really struggled and worked hard for this thing. I've built it. So I'm going to
Mhm.
do everything to protect it. At the same point, when I'm
Mhm.
saying this, I'm going to protect it. That means I'm going to protect myself also from being corrupted,
Mhm.
you know. So these are the things like if you've got it, now you need to protect it.
Mhm. So basically, get better every single time is what you are saying, right? So, I mean, the only way you can protect this is by getting better, staying relevant,
Yes.
putting greater stuff out there, putting the
And
best food out
also
there, and
learning things. I mean, when I started, there were so many things which I felt like, oh no, this is the truth. I'm not going to change myself. No, change is only constant. You only keep learning new things in your life. And then unlearning is also a type of learning only. So there are so many things that, I've left behind. I used to be very stubborn about them. But now I'm like, no, like you need to learn things. You can't be stubborn about something. It's like, no, I will never do this, or no, I'm going to always do this. No, you got to be a little flexible, not with your principles, but
Mhm.
the way market works, the way people are working around. I mean, if you don't fit in, it's just about that saying, if the tree is not flexible and all, it's going to get broken right in the between. So it's
No.
it's okay to let go few things. I mean, there's going to be cheating. There's going to be people taking away your work. You will feel lonely at times. You will feel isolated when people are not supporting you enough. When people have left you when you were popular, there used to be so
Mhm.
many friends around you. Now, if you're not doing
Yeah.
great economically, so people have changed. Don't let these things make you go bitter. Like,
Mhm.
no, no, people have done this to me. I'm also going to do this to them. No, there is no tit for
Mm.
tat. It's not going to bring good for anyone.
Mhm.
So, this is what I'm talking about. Like, being a good human after all. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't matter like
Yeah.
what you are. You are a doctor, you are an actor, you are a singer, whatever profession you practice. To be
Mhm.
a good human is a key. I mean, eventually that is going to be there when you turn 60, 70, 80, whatever. Like when you die, if you have a good tongue, people are going to remember you, not your pretty face.
Awesome. So this has been a great conversation, Nick. I have one, last question that I ask every single guest, at the end of the conversation. Before I ask you that question, I'd like to thank you for all the great work that you're putting out there, and also for the people who are here. Do check her out and on Instagram, on YouTube,
YouTube, yes.
and yes, her channel is called Captain Nick. Just go find her. Just Google her. She's all over the internet. If you're just feeling low or just need something to laugh, and
Smile about.
her content definitely, yes, smile about her content, definitely brings smile to your face. And also not the regular kind of a comedy content, right? So I think I would like to say it's a bit of a offbeat kind of a content, which I think is what she does best, because that's who she is, right? And I think and she does it very, very beautifully. So here's the last question for you. Imagine you are standing on the largest stadium that has ever been built in the history of the world, and there are millions and millions of people. Every single seat is occupied, and there you are on the stage, and you have been given only 1 minute of the time to share the most important lesson that you have learned in your life. What would be your lesson?
I have been saying this for over more than 10 years now, to find the perfect balance in your life, in everything that you do. If it's work, if it's love, if it's eating, sleeping, no matter what it is, to find the perfect balance. The moment you lose your balance and do something less or something more than required, it's going to create disturbance. I mean, that mantra, I swear I don't know from where I've learned it. I guess from one of the novels that I was reading, but my mind is stuck there. So I don't become extra sweet to someone to make them feel uncomfortable. Oh, it's like what, she's just buttering us up or something like that. And I guess eventually in the end, it's all about, people remembering you. Like for all these work that we have done now, doesn't matter if it's a noble job, it's conventional, unconventional. In the end, people are just going to remember you for all your deeds. And being a balanced person somehow literally balances everything. And when I say creating balance, it's literally about everything in life. So that's my one go-to mantra. And I literally, like, I don't give free advices or anything to anyone. I'm not someone who believes in, you know, giving speeches, because I feel like people really don't want it. They'll be like, "Kya paka rahi hai," this and that. But if I'm asked, I always say that find balance. You can't do anything that is in less amount or more amount. It's just a practice. It will come with time. You need to start practicing it from right now. Just always try. It's like if there's something you're doing less or something that you're doing more than required, to find the balance. That is it.
Find the perfect balance. On that note, thank you, Niharika. Thank you so much for being on the show. It has been such a great time having this conversation and getting to know you more.
Same.
I hope listeners enjoyed this conversation. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Vijay. I hope I'll catch you soon.
Thank you so much for listening to this conversation with Niharika Singh. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you did, please share the episode with your friends by visiting the show notes page at theinspiringtalk.com/110. If you are listening to the show on Apple Podcasts, I would really appreciate if you could leave a review for this show. This will help us reach more people so that they can benefit from these conversations. You can send me a voice note by visiting theinspiringtalk.com/speak. That is theinspiringtalk.com/SPEAK. Speak. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you in the next. Now, go out there and do something inspiring.